Great job, you made it. So happy you could join us. In this vast journey we call life, there's a lot to talk about. So on our podcasts, you can expect to hear anything from sports, adventures, love stories, all the way to outer space. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to the 4th episode of our podcast. I'm Giorgio, this is Jack. Jack, who have we got on our podcast today?
We have Iyiola. We recently played football together, and we're going to just be discussing your journey through sports and your career going forward in life. So, Iyiola, if you want to take it away and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem.
You're welcome, man.
Obviously, I'm Iyiola Adebayo, player hashtag with you.
Yep.
I wouldn't call myself a footballer, but I guess you'd call me a footballer. I prefer not to label myself in ways like that, but
You're much more than a footballer.
yeah.
I like that.
It's more than just a footballer.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
My career that I'm pursuing is a footballer. Something
Yeah.
I have a lot of passion for. Something I'm really into. How I got started into football.
Yeah, let's run into it. So that's really interesting actually, because I feel like the backstory of like how you got into something that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
So how did you get started into football?
I'm not gonna say I had some crazy story about it's meant to be. It was but
One day a football fell down.
Yeah.
But
God was like, boom, there you go, right.
I think it was quite simple really. I was just a kid on the playground and I just started because it was fun. When I was 6, I was better than everyone else that was 6. So of course you're gonna enjoy something that that you're good at. So started around that age. I didn't really watch too much football as a kid. Like my dad supported Chelsea, but I wasn't really like wanting to be a fan of anyone. I just watched it on TV. I remember I was watching Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Blackburn. I didn't know who anyone was. I used to just pick the coolest looking player. I remember Obafemi Martins. He was a Newcastle player and he had the coolest celebration. So I decided I was a Newcastle fan.
Oh, so you're a Newcastle fan?
No, I wasn't.
I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure I know you're not.
Yeah.
And I was about to rip into you for who you support. Go on. Who you support?
I was a Newcastle fan for about 5 minutes and then eventually, funny story, it was the 2008 Champions League final.
Right.
And like I said, my dad's a Chelsea fan. So it was United versus Chelsea. And I remember that day, like I must have just been annoyed at my dad for something. So I just said that I'm going to support the other team.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously we all know it ended with the John Terry slip and United winning. From that day I was a United fan.
Fair
Wow.
play. Well, I was about to
That's
rip
a cool
into you for
story.
being a Man United fan, because I was going, when were you in where were you in Manchester? Weren't you?
I
Where?
always hear this, you never been to the game,
Glory,
you
I know
weren't
that.
born in
Yeah.
Manchester, blah, blah, blah. But football's
To be
not-
fair, you only ever hear that from the fans of teams who never had anything, right?
West Ham.
Like
Yeah, West Ham.
West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham.
Gloria, no.
Yeah,
we
that's
never win
exactly
anything, so
Yeah, I know.
can't call us that. Well, actually, we're doing kind of well at the minute.
Yeah, big
Very
new for
well.
a
Yeah.
We'll see if it. We'll see.
That's
So
brilliant.
that was your journey of picking the team.
Yeah.
What made you? Because obviously you said you at the time you were better than other 6-year-olds and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah.
You say it's like a standard thing.
Yeah.
It's not. I started football like 11,
Yeah.
but I think I could have gone down a few years from when I first started because I was that bad.
Really?
It's, honestly terrible. But you had the opposite. You had some athleticism about you
Yeah.
growing up straight away, even without having the technical training and everything like that. What was the first thing that made you go, I love playing football, I love matches, I love training? What got you into it?
I guess it was like, thinking back on it, probably like the freedom of like having a ball and just being able to dribble around people or score a goal or like, and probably also being able to be with my friends. So
That's a
that
massive,
whole
massive thing.
like having a break time and a lunch time and you and your friends all playing football.
Socialising, isn't it?
It's like, that was probably my favourite part to it. Just the social aspect and the creative, like feeling like an individual out there, just doing what I want.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably the main reason when I was growing up.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So
cool, man.
you obviously playing like football with you for a few months and everything like that. I can tell me personally, I think you're a few leagues away from where you actually need to be.
Yeah.
Personally, technically very, very good. What was that moment where you was like, I've got a bit about me now?
Yeah.
I think I could, because obviously before hashtag you was at West Ham, West Ham Academy. Tell us the journey from Saturday, Sunday on grass fields out in wherever you grew up and everything like that to now I'm playing on AstroTurf at West Ham, or what was that moment where you was like, this is it, this is me, this is the career path I'm choosing?
Well, it started, I'd say, I'm trying to remember back to, I think I was in year 1 maybe, and I remember, like it's a normal day at school playing football, and a West Ham like community type coach came in. Yeah. So they'll just come into the session with primary schools, I'm guessing how they always do. And then I just remember like, I just treated it like it was break time or lunchtime, and I was just doing what I do, running through the team, scoring. And then afterwards, it was in the afternoon, and my teacher came up to me and was like, the guy left a card for me.
Year 1.
Imagine. I remember people talking about scouts. Like when I was at school, I was like, oh, you never know who's watching. Like you might get scouted. That actually happened to you, man. At
the time, I didn't really know what was going on. I was like, oh, someone gave me a card. This is great. Yeah, because obviously in year 1, all you care about is like getting the best in whatever test you're doing or impressing your teacher or whatever. Yeah. So to me, it was like, oh yeah,
you're a good student.
Yeah. So I've taken the card and then I've gone home, and then I'm begging my mum to call the number. And I think at the time she was like, I'll do it later. And obviously I'm a kid, I'm frustrated. Oh, can you call the number? So she calls it. This was like towards the end of the school year. So she calls it and no one answers. So I'm thinking, so now every week for that whole summer, telling her to call the number. She's telling me she's doing it, but I don't. I can't remember where she was. In the end, it was about, I think I'd say 6 weeks to 2 months later. She called the number again after me still pestering her to call the number, and it turned out that the guy was just on holiday, so he wasn't answering his phone.
Oh, so that must have been like a feeling of relief. Really, I know that feeling of I think I've missed that bloody chance, and it's horrible. But you got it. So what was the next steps after that? What was going forward from there?
So then there's like he called and said that he wants me to come down to this little there's a college near where I live, and it was like he used to do sessions there.
Okay.
So at these sessions there'll be other boys, I'm guessing he'd given these cards or whatever, and they just train and practice whatever, like a development centre type thing. So I went the first time. I'm not gonna pretend like I remember how it went.
It's year 1
ago, but
year 1.
I remember it was alright. Met a couple people, and I remember that my mum had to take off work for me to go that day. So I kind of assumed I was gonna go back. Funny enough, when I went there, I met someone that lives across the road from me, who I never knew they lived across the road from me. And they also were going to the thing. So.
Small world.
So it kind of aligned up though.
So it ended up that was my transport to go, and so now I could go every week. So so
it's
it
funny
was
how things work out like that.
So obviously me and the kid became friends or whatever, and I used to go with him every week to go to the thing. At this time, like all the other players at the development centre had like a Sunday team. And I had never I just didn't know anything about Sunday teams. All I knew was playing football on the school playground. So I remember maybe about a couple months into doing it, the guy that originally gave me the card, he said that he wants to take me into West Ham to I'm guessing it was a trial. So we the whole development squad played like a trial game against West Ham. But the reason it was a bit different for me is that when we played at half time, I swapped and played for the West Ham side.
Oh, you were the only one?
So.
Straight away, the second you do that, you know what's happening. It's working out.
I didn't know it was planned, but it's because I thought it was just because in the first half, I remember I scored the goal from the halfway line.
Is that why you always bang to me about you banging it from the halfway line? That's what I
early days banging it from the halfway line.
It felt normal to me then because I was used to doing stuff like that. But so then played for the West Ham side. And they liked me, so they asked me to come again. But they felt like it was a problem that I didn't have a Sunday team.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what I was saying. So the guy that I said that I met at the kid that I met that lives across the road from me,
Yeah.
his dad was a coach of a Sunday team. So I ended up playing for his Sunday team. So
Yeah.
and so basically now I had a Sunday team, and I was at Westham twice a week, which was crazy to me because like
you've gone from nothing to so much so quickly.
So
what a blessing that kid was.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
And the whole experience, but like that kid, if you wouldn't have got the transport, you wouldn't have got the Sunday team, well, you probably would have got the Sunday team, but it's just like, it seemed like just so perfect.
Yeah.
Everything lined up.
Everything lined up so perfect. Yeah.
What I'm thinking with this is everything seemed to go right with every step.
Yeah.
Did you have anything where you're just like, it's just not meant to be? This ain't working out? Because I've had setbacks with. I had similar issue with. I say issue. It wasn't an issue. I went on trial because of it, but I had a trial with AFC Wimbledon. Yeah. For me, it wasn't planned. They didn't know they were going to do it. Their keeper got injured in the first half. Within the first, I think 6 minutes. Yeah. So there was like, Jack, it's a trial match. It was Palace versus AFC Wimbledon's under-18, so it was scholarship against a natural under-18s team. And there was like, go and goal for them. Yeah. And then from that, I got a 3-month trial at AFC Wimbledon, but it wasn't written out. It wasn't planned. Yours seemed it was, we got this kid. Yeah. He's got a bit about him. Yeah. What we need to get him in the squad. Watch how he plays in the first half. And then they probably had a chat after and went, he's good. Yeah. Let's switch him up. We don't really like that kid. Put him on the other team or sub him. Get him, put him in and see what he does. Did you have anything where, as you're going through, you're thinking, this just ain't going to happen? Like, what's going on? It ain't lining up. Or has it always been like pretty smooth sailing? It's not a bad thing if you haven't. It just means that you're that good. That's the thing.
I think I'd say I was quite blessed and very lucky in the fact that I'd say up until maybe like year 7, which is under
11s, under 12s.
Yeah. I'd say I've had people around me who've been really willing to help me. So, for example, the coach guy that originally gave me his card, when I started playing for Westham twice a week and playing on the weekend, he lives in Southend.
Oh, okay.
And which wasn't too far from him, and I was on his way, so he ended up just taking me to training all the time. He's my coach as well. He ended up taking me to training all the time, and he's I still talk to him very closely now, and he's someone who looks after me now. But I would say that he's someone that looked after me a lot. Then he used to take me to some West Ham games. I remember he took me to my first football game, which was I think it was West Ham versus Liverpool.
Oh yeah, what actual?
Yeah,
live
at the bowling ground. And brilliant. It wasn't I wasn't just in the stands. I was a ball boy.
No way.
Wow. Yeah, and at the time, I was too young to be a ball boy, so they put me one of the older kids. I didn't actually have to do anything, but just to give me the experience. And I remember, I was in a massive stadium, and I was 10, and I was so wow. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
I still remember it now.
You were intimidated by the atmosphere.
I don't think I was intimidated, to be honest. I feel like I was more trying to stop myself from going on the pitch.
I could do that better.
Because I remember,
what is he doing with that for?
Because I remember before they said, don't kick the ball. Whatever you do, don't kick the ball. I remember the ball came, and I'm not meant to go and get the ball. The guy next to me is meant to go and get the ball. Yeah. Go ahead then. I remember I flicked it up a little bit with my foot, and then I threw it back, and I was thinking, maybe I'm gonna get kicked out now. Nah, it was good. I remember that first game. Steven Gerrard was there.
Oh man.
Luis Suarez. That's when I think he just signed for Liverpool at the time. And I was thinking, wow.
Look at these players in front of me. Yeah, that's mental. Because the only West Ham games I've been to, I claim I'm a massive diehard West Ham fan, but I've gone to games like Norwich and and nothing like Liverpool. I would love to see it though, but to have that experience so early on, to not be cracked under the pressure, because no matter what, even you're a ball boy and you're still in front of loads of cameras with millions of people. Probably it's West Ham. Tens of thousands of people watching on in the actual stadium, with a few 100,000 watching from home. And for you not to, it probably wasn't in your head. You probably wasn't thinking like how many people are watching me, but the noise, the atmosphere. I mean, the bowling ground was no one liked going to the bowling ground. It was so close to the pitch. You blatantly heard abuse from. It was just a West Ham thing, innit? Yeah. But to not be put down, be made nervous of the atmosphere. At 10 years old, I would have been cacking it. I'll be cacking it now if I was ball boy. I don't know whether it's because I'll be thinking like there's so many people watching, but
Yeah.
To be fair, you say about being nervous. I'm remembering now that there was one setback where I thought, "Ooh, maybe I messed up here." It was I think it was my first game that I was gonna play for Westham on the Saturday, and on the way there, I remember being nervous, like nervous as hell, and in the car on the way there, I threw up. Like all over the seat, all over myself.
That's real nerves, man.
And I remember that like I had to go back home because it was too
everywhere.
messy.
Yeah.
So I think I went home thinking, maybe they're not gonna take me back now, because obviously I missed the whole game I was meant to play and everything.
Yeah.
But however old I was, maybe like 8, 9, you're thinking, it's the end of the world. But looking back now, it's just
it's a setback. I mean, everyone's human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna go, he's been sick in the car.
Yeah.
He's 9 years old. Nah, he ain't made for this.
Yeah.
Sod this kid. Nah. But that's how. So obviously that happened. Do you have any memory of going to the next game or?
To be honest with you, I don't really remember many like specific games around that age. I was a kid.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
I just remember it being fun.
Yeah,
that's what
that's
just remember.
brilliant.
Yeah,
that's
it was
exactly.
just so fun.
That's probably why you went so far, so early on. It's because it was fun.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what it's supposed to be when you're a kid. You're supposed to express yourself as a kid. When you start getting into the scholarship kind of level, that's when they want you to link up play. That's when they want the team to come together and play throughout the back, throughout the thirds, from the keeper to left back to centre back to wherever they're playing out from. That's when they want that. But before that, I think it's pretty much give the ball to the best player. Let's see how he deals with it.
Yeah.
Defenders, do your job and head the ball out. Then we'll see how you're getting on. It's very much like pretty much free reign when you're a kid, when you're going through the system. But what was your... Obviously, you stayed with West Ham for how many years, was it?
I was with West Ham for 10 years.
Wow.
Long time, man.
What, from that, I'm probably jumping ahead loads, but I'm so intrigued about this, is what was your one, like, this is just mental? Like, I'm here right now. I'm in this squad. I'm with this player. Yeah.
Where it just hit you,
Oh, exactly that.
That's a good question, to be honest.
Too many to pick from, probably.
Would you say more as like an experience or on the pitch?
Whatever comes to mind. Like
even if you have two. Even if you have two stories. Like if it's one on the pitch where you, I don't know, FA Cup under 18s, whatever it may be with that, and then you've I don't know, gone away with a certain squad who maybe sat on the bench for the under 23s, for example. Like whatever comes to mind.
I think probably the time where I thought, wow, is when I went on my first tour. We went to, because at this time I'd never flown, I've never left the country before.
It's an experience, So
it's
it's a good experience.
I remember we went to Latvia. I think maybe to everyone else it was just another tour, but to me I felt like I was on holiday.
And also you feel like you've made it. I've been on tour as well. I went to I went like 7 times to. They have an annual tournament out in Holland, and they get basically European countries all pick. Basically, they send it out to a few clubs out in Europe, European countries, and they go, "Do you want to come to it?" They either go yes, or they go no. We're going to another one. So some years we'll play FC Genk. We played FC20 one year. That's obviously like a Dutch team anyway, but that it's an experience of like, wow, I've got the shirt laid out, my number and name's on the back of it. Like they all have your details if they want to call you over and get you linked over to some like Romanian team or some random thing like that. Like it's an experience to just be around it, and you do feel like you're a pro. I was like, when I went, I was like 16 the first time I went. I thought I'd made it, but I knew I hadn't. Like now I know, I'm like, what an idiot.
It's still a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
Like, how old was you when you went to Latvia?
I might have been 12, I think.
Oh wow!
So cool.
What an experience at 12.
What was I doing at 12?
You do though, especially when you're wearing that badge and you're walking through in your tracksuit with your bag as you're pulling it through. Or even if you don't even have a tracksuit, you got coaches that are wearing a tracksuit. You're going through. You're like, I'm sick. I'm like, I'm 12 and I'm going on tour with West Ham. That is something to even say. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I feel like, to be fair, like, because I was there from so young. Like people used to always say to me, like, oh, wow, you play for West Ham, blah blah. To me, it was just like, like I was just used to it. It just
It was like your
almost,
second home at that point.
Yeah, like
You grew up with West Ham in a way.
yeah. So to me, it wasn't like I never really felt like better than anyone else. I didn't feel like more special. I just because I was used to it. It's like, oh, this is what I do on my weekend.
Yeah.
Where you doing your weekend?
What,
like,
it felt like a hobby kind of thing.
Yeah, like I just felt,
That's such a good mindset to have,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
when you're like, I think pressure can get to people, ego can get to people, but if
Yeah.
you're just there and this is just normality, this is cool, this is just what I do, then you'll be such a better player because of that. You haven't got all those distractions in the way of thinking, oh, I'm a big man. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all good. Like it's all just fun.
I've definitely seen the ego and stuff getting in the way.
I think you see it at the top level. I mean, if you look at going across different sports and everything, but I think when Anthony Joshua started doing a lot of advertisements, talking about certain political issues, getting involved in a lot of things, I think that's when you started seeing form dip. You can argue it might be from the Klitschko fight, from him getting wobbled for the first time, but I think once you, I think once you, like Dele Alli's a good example for me, to be fair. I think he's a perfect example of once you stick your neck out into social media a bit too much, you become a bit too big for your boots, literally, in this sense. It detriments you as a player. It holds you back a little bit.
Do you think?
I really do think so. I think if your head's screwed on, if you're worried about yourself and your performance, you're not trying to. Obviously, don't get me wrong. You make money. You want that's the whole idea of being a top level player. You see the money coming in, and you're like, oh, even more money. Great, let's go and do another advertisement for Adidas.
If the money becomes the focus, you lose who you are. You lose yourself as a player, and then you're distracted.
Yeah.
I feel like with the example you gave Dele Alli, I feel like it's hard to say from our point of view why his form has dropped.
100%.
Because
100%.
with the social media stuff, with the money stuff, like there's a lot of pressure with that, because from what I know, a lot of that stuff is not really up to him. It's more agents or or advertising or whatever, and I understand that stuff can be distracting. 100%, I agree, but I just feel like sometimes players get a bit too much blame for. I feel like the correlation between they get bigger on social media and their performances start dipping. Them getting bigger on social media, it's a byproduct of them playing well. So if they start playing well, they're gonna get bigger on social media. They're gonna
and maybe it does highlight the fact that they've started dipping in form, and everyone goes, "Well, ever since he's done this." But my thinking is, for how much more popular you get with like creating content on social media, with having to do advertisements, photo shoots and stuff like that, it takes you away from the pitch. Because you can sort of see that. Obviously, everyone knows that on a daily basis, it's hard to fit a lot of stuff in. So there might be days where, for example, Dele Alli would go to Poch when it obviously was informing everything, going, I've just got called up for Adidas to come and talk to me about doing a photo shoot. Can I take tomorrow off? And then that tomorrow turns into 2 weeks from today. I'm doing a 2-day recording. I can't come. It's not going to interfere with play, with my match. And then slowly but surely, they miss out on certain things, and it gets difficult to sort of with managing it. And I think unless you're so confident in your abilities and you know your place in the squad, your roles in which you play inside the squad, I think it's very hard to manage both, because don't get me wrong. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. With football, is a full-time job. You play Boxing Day, you play New Year's Day. You hardly have any rest days. On Christmas Day, a lot of clubs train. I've only ever heard of one story, and that was on the Ben Foster podcast, where he said about Alan Pardew gave him Christmas Day off, and he said out of all of his years playing, he's only ever had Christmas Day off once. And it makes you go, what the. How can you manage that? But then on the other side, people are models, actors, and that's a full-time job as well. To try and fit all of that in, I think that's a little. And I don't want to, because I don't think it's Dele Alli's fault. For example, like with the both the things that he's taken on with obviously social media and all of the stuff that comes along with it. I just think it's too much to manage, and I think that's where you start taking fallback.
Yeah, I understand. I feel like most things, it just comes down to finding the balance.
Exactly, a work-life balance. It starts from in the office. It starts from you working on your own thing, away from this, like we're doing now. To all the way up to the top level of work-life balance, and the only difference between the two is one, you have money to give to someone to do the job for you, and then the other one, you're like, right, I can only take on so much at the moment, and then slowly but surely graduate it up. But
there is good examples, like if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, he's the most followed person in the world on Instagram.
But he's so
I was going to mention him actually.
He is so good with his work-life balance. His meals that he has, he's so regimented. Like, he don't even like his kids eating chocolate. Like, he talks about in interviews where he's like, oh, he wanted to have a drink of Coke or something one day, and I looked at him and he's looking at me thinking I'm going to get in trouble with Dad and all this. I'm like, fuck, he's 11. Relax. He could be doing a lot worse.
But he's one of those people who I think has everything in order. Like you say, he's got that balance. And obviously we'll never really know completely behind the scenes, but I saw a little bit on that the new Netflix series with his girlfriend, Georgia. And is it Georgia or
Georgina?
Georgina, my bad. And I just thought, looking at him and just the way, even in the first episode, the way he portrayed himself, the way she was, they're living at the highest level. They've got all the nicest things in the world, but they've still got their feet on the ground in a way.
I feel like someone like Ronaldo, for example, I feel like there's a lot of sacrifice that has to go into a life. A lot of because how he said his football so on point, his social media, don't really get caught in many scandals, or he's always on the pitch, he's always training. I feel like there's obviously behind the scenes there's going to be areas where he's probably not doing so well. Maybe that might be with his relationships or
I don't have a clue how he's got so many kids. I have no clue. How the hell does he find time to spend with his bloody missus? I ain't got a clue. My missus gets annoyed now when I go, like yesterday, full disclosure, I went Valentine's to the gym. I text her, I was like, can I go gym?
For the next 24 hours.
This is my schedule. Can I please go to the gym? I've made time for you, I promise. But that must be hard as well.
Yeah,
is that,
definitely.
But have you ever had to sort of manage yourself like that?
I'd say when I was in the academy, for the whole period of like secondary school, I'd say social life wise, basically non-existent. Because
no playing out, no mucking around.
Because Monday to Saturday you're at football, Sunday you're trying to rest.
Oh mate, 100%.
So time to go out is like, got training tomorrow, got a match tomorrow. I have to travel here tomorrow, or like it was never really much time for being a kid, if you get what I'm saying. So
you had a full-time job in a way.
Literally, so it was, but it didn't. I'm not gonna say it was crazy difficult or whatever, because you're used to it. It's a routine. You're just in. But I feel like looking back now, I think about it and was like, maybe to be fair, it's probably for the best because I kept out of trouble. So
I mean that's a lot of the reason why like parents get their kids in football. That's one of the reasons why my mum got me in football. Not to keep me out of trouble, but I was a weird kid. I was annoying, and I was with all the nerdy kids growing up. But it was just something to do, something to get me out of the house, something to really and truthfully. I was gonna do bad stuff. You're a kid. You're gonna go out. You're gonna play knockdown ginger. You're gonna do stupid stuff like that, and it does keep you out of trouble. Like kind of what you were saying with the social life balance along with managing your football. I'm not too sure if you had to do education. You probably did.
Of course,
that is absolutely a mind killer because you're repeating yourself over. That in itself is something that you need to be like having a discussion about. But with work-life balance, it is difficult. But
definitely.
Did you ever get that time to blow off steam? Because you, like looking back now, I wish I did. I wish I went back and went, no, just relax, man. It's not the end of the world if you don't perform at 100% tomorrow. It's not the end of the world. Like training, don't get me wrong, obviously matches is different. But if I'm not 100% in training tomorrow because I've only got 5 hours kip, does it really matter? One off? Not really. And I only started finding it out towards the end of me playing football when I was sort of 18, 19, sort of going, I can stay out a bit later. I can do what I want to tonight. I've got training tomorrow. It doesn't really matter. But did you get that downtime, or has it literally been football?
I'd say my downtime was probably school.
That's regimented, man. That's regimented,
everyone always says, like, I remember everyone used to always complain, I hate school, blah, blah. And I'd say that as well because I didn't want to be. But really deep down, I knew I enjoyed school because, like, at school, I'm with my friends. And, like, I'm with, like, lessons and stuff. I was lucky in the fact that I could not really pay attention and I'll still do well in the test and I'll still get the work and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time just messing around with my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say probably school was my, like, I'm not a footballer, I only goes to school with my friends. That's probably my favourite time. And that's when I got chances to do other stuff, like I used to play basketball a lot at lunchtime, or badminton or table tennis, or just stuff like that, like just outside of football that I used to enjoy.
That makes so much sense, because when you think about it, like when a kid, all they have is school, that is their pressure. Whereas you had all this pressure outside of school, that when you went to school, the pressure was kind of off in a sense. It's kind of reversed.
That's
really
a good way to look at it, to be fair. I've never even thought about it like that. That is such a good point, because I'm kind of the same as you. I look back now and I was like, I love school. I didn't love the school work, don't get me wrong, but it's like you, it was just a place to have banter with your mates. It was a place to just be social. But I had friends who were kind of stressing about getting into the right college, getting into that. But I think because you're in the system of like Westham, you know you're going to go on a scholarship. You know you're going to do the education. You've got a fallback, and you have that security there. But everyone else is kind of like, oh, well, I've got to go to college, and I've got to get into this one. Like we, I don't know about yourself, but I was quite lucky the fact that I never had to really worry about it. But yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, to be fair. Never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because like obviously, you must be able to deal with pressure so well. I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot.
To be honest with you, I'd say if you were looking at me from the outside, you'd think I'm probably so calm and cool and
You're
collected.
chill.
That was the first impression I had of you. I was like, you're really chilled out there.
I'd say, like, I remember when I used to have matches, like, I would almost be as if I didn't care. Like, I've
seen you in the change rooms, mate. I know exactly what you're on about. Your headphones on, and you're like, Iyiola. Iyiola, and you're like, I've seen what you're like, mate. You're so laid back.
I am a laid back person. But
it's a good way to be.
But inside, I'm nervous. Like, I know I get anxious. I get, like, before games, I remember for like all of my life up until hashtag, I'd say, before a game, I couldn't eat. I couldn't barely breathe. I was just like, I wasn't scared. I was just
anxious.
I was anxious. I just wanted the game to happen so I could go and play it. And first, to be fair, as soon as the whistle went, then it's
gone.
I can breathe now. And everything's fine. But up until the kickoff,
loads of footballers talk about that though. That anxiety that builds up, the butterflies in your belly before the whistle blows. Roy Keane spoke about it a few times. With the second the whistle goes, you're not really focusing on I need to perform. You're dealing with situations in front of you. You're responding. You're not procrastinating. Exactly.
You're in the moment. Before you're just anticipating. Before you're in the moment. Before the game, you're in your head. Whereas when you're on the pitch, you're in your body. It takes you out of that.
But that's such a relatable feeling to have across like life in general. With people have anxiety about going to work. Funny enough, it's actually just happened today. We're dealing with another company. We're putting a lot of pressure on them in work. Pressure's coming on to me and everything like that. And I've spoken to this fella on the phone, and he's gone, mate, I had a breakdown yesterday. And he's gone, I was sick at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Stressing about work. I broke down on site and cried. And this is a full-grown man. And the work stress of something that's happening in the future, because this is about fixing issues 2 weeks from now, basically. And he's broke down because he's so nervous, anxious about it. But I guarantee when the works are going on and he's there on site and the issues are getting fixed, he ain't going to worry about that. He's not going to go, oh, what do I need to update with tomorrow? He's going to go, oh, I'm telling him it's done tomorrow. And he can react to stuff on site because he's done it for so many years. And it's exactly the same with people who have anxiety about going to the gym. People have anxiety about work in general. Going out on a date with a person, like meeting a girl for the first time or a boy for the first time, going out on a date, that anxiety, that pressure. But every time, and I don't know if it's the same with you two, but it goes the second you're in the situation. Once you've done it and you're there, you're just responding to what's in front of you. And it's a nice calming feeling.
It's that classic fight or flight response within you. And I think if like a good thing I used to do when I was preparing for like a boxing match was I would like visualize exactly what I wanted to happen, and that would make me feel good. And before that, I would visualize kind of what I didn't want to happen, and I'd start to feel sick.
Yeah.
I'd struggle to breathe, but then I managed to kind of master my mind in a sense towards the end, where I was like, this is how I want to perform, and I could picture it in my head. And if you struggle with your breathing, really getting deep on your breath work, understanding how your body works, getting back into your body, and then I was able to perform way better because I was more relaxed.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you say about your coping mechanisms, because like feeling anxious and anxiety is something I've paid a lot of focus on. Because when I was younger, I used to think like there was something wrong with me, like maybe I had an illness or like I remember like I went to the doctors about it because I was so confused as to why it is before every game I felt like this. And like I used to think that it must be something medical or whatever.
What did they say when you went to? Do you remember what they said?
I can't remember. I think they might have diagnosed me with morning sickness or something to do with acid.
But this is such an important thing. Is how long ago was that?
This was like 5 years ago. Yeah.
But if you go to the doctors now, and I actually know someone who's gone to the doctors about anxiety, pressure with like post-traumatic stress syndrome, like PTSD and everything. He's gone to the doctors now, and they've referred him to a mental health specialist.
Yeah.
How just to know how recent it's been before it was such a prevalent thing inside sports and everyday life. It's mental. 6 years ago, you got told, "Oh, it's just morning sick. You're all right, mate. Don't stress. It's fine." Well, it's not. It's a crippling issue.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I had the opposite of. I got a bit too pumped up beforehand, and I got angry. I was probably 14 when I went to my peak of being angry playing football. A goal went in, I would lash out, I'd kick the post, I'd punch the floor, gloves would come off at half time and launch them across this bloody field. I was an absolute knobhead. And I had to look into it quite a lot when I got scouted at Palace, because it was a proper issue to the point where I'd have managers come on and go, calm down.
Yeah.
It's a match. It's Saturday football. It's Sunday football. Relax. And I was like, no, but I should have done this and I should have done that. And I was so hard on myself. And there's so many coping mechanisms that I even bring to everyday life now. Of the whole counting down backwards from 10.
Yeah.
Just simple little things that just make such a difference. But what helped me with like anxiety before a match, for example, and I can't sing the praises enough for it. It's just positive thinking of. My thing was picturing myself making that top corner save, picturing myself coming out and claiming a corner that I shouldn't be coming out and claiming. Stuff that would make me go, well, I can actually do that. If I can picture it up here, I can do it out on that pitch. And it sounds a little bit what's the right word? It sounds a little bit big-headed to go, I can do anything I'm thinking. But it relayed it onto the pitch. It made me so confident going into it. I'm pretty sure you've seen when I with the Rezzies, it was different.
Yeah.
Like I was having to be the older one in the team and G everyone up and get everyone on board and everything like that. But when I was with the first team and I was training before and everything like that, even though I wasn't playing, actually starting in the first team, I was still earphones in, picturing myself doing some miraculous stuff. Then I'll go out with Ben, do a bit of the training and do the warm up and everything like that. But it helps so much just having that good positive thinking about yourself. And then further on from that, dealing with anger and not coping with emotions during a football pitch, during a football match on the football pitch, is little coping mechanisms of, like I said, can back down from 10. I had one called a trigger, and it can be done in loads of different ways, but it's so handy to have. I had the trigger of undoing my gloves and doing them back on, and that was a reset button for me. Of nothing that's happened before matters. It's started anew.
Like an on and off switch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I actually I watched a YouTube video when I was about 15, and it was actually with Angus Gunn when he got when he was at Man City's under 23s, I think, at the time, and he was having a conversation with the goalkeeper coach at the time at Man City. I can't remember the fella's name, but he said about triggers, and it's really prolific in young goalkeepers, especially, of making that mistake that will 100% lead to a goal if you make it. And when you make it, how do you recover from it? And I don't know if obviously any of you watch football on a regular basis, but if you see a goalkeeper make an error, they will do one of a few different things. They'll go behind the goal, take a swig of water, and they'll walk away, have their hands on their hips for a bit. They'll kick the back of the post with their studs, clear their boots off. Some keepers will do the glove thing that I said.
Yeah,
some people will even just boot the ball away, and that's their reset of
Yeah.
whatever's happened before. It don't matter now. It's done. I can only focus on what I'm about to do now, and that was my coping mechanism of dealing with issues on the football pitch, and it can help. It helped me out massively. After that, I can probably count on one hand how many lash outs I had on the pitch, and it was for reasons. It was actual reasons, not me just lashing out like a child.
Yeah.
It's something that you need to look into.
I find the coping mechanism thing very interesting. Like when I was trying to deal with how anxious I felt, I tried so many coping mechanisms, and I'm someone who always, I sound quite introspective, so I'm always asking myself why.
Okay.
So I didn't want to have to have a coping mechanism, so I asked myself, like I stepped all the way back and looked at why do I feel anxious, and why is this something that's making me feel different to what I do in everyday life, and I look back at it and I realized that for me it was just that I was putting too much pressure on myself to play, and I just tried to almost realize that, not that it doesn't matter, but there's always next week.
100%, 100%, and that's such an important thing. Is kids of a young age playing any sport, the pressure you put on yourself, the pressure from parents, coaches, it needs to be handled in the right way, and very rarely does it. Very rarely. I mean, it's brilliant that you've seen it yourself, you spoke to yourself through it, and you've handled it. But the amount of people that don't get that support, and it is missed off, it is quite worrying to think there are football coaches out there that will go and scream. I've seen it myself. I've done refereeing as like a little bit of a help to a friend for under 16s football, and you'll see coaches screaming at 15, 16-year-olds, and you're like, mate, it's Saturday, Sunday football, relax. Unless they're getting paid money, you should never get shouted at. You know what I mean?
Kids at the end of the day. I had a similar thing with my coach. I remember it was to the point where people were saying, "Oh, he's really grilling that kid." Like, people were talking about it, and it was like, I thought that was kind of normal at the time, but you can't speak to, you shouldn't speak to anyone that way, really. But at the same time, you know, you have to go about things as a coach in a certain way. You know, you have to be above ground with that. You know, you can't.
100%.
So do you guys feel pressure more externally, or is it more internal for you?
It's interesting. You know what, I really liked what you said earlier about asking yourself questions, asking yourself why. I kind of do that too, and I realised that I always manage to come up with the answer. Like when you ask a question, I don't know what it is, your subconscious or whatever will bring you the answer. And like it's, for me, I'm very introspective as well. So yeah, I feel like, you know, if you haven't got anyone to speak to, that is a really great tool to have, to just ask questions. I was even reading a book by Tony Robbins called Awaken the Giant Within, and that was a big theme in it. It was like ask yourself questions, ask yourself the right questions, and then figure out the solutions, and then you end up down this rabbit hole, and you'll figure out, you know. So it sounds like in a way you bypassed your anxiety. Would you say you was able to do that?
I'd say I understand. I think I have a better understanding of my anxiety, which helps me deal with it in a way where I know that no matter how much I tell myself that, okay, this doesn't matter, blah, blah, I care about the game at the end of the day. So I'm going to feel a certain way. And that is not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
And instead of trying to fight the feeling of anxiety, I just learned to embrace it as, I'm going to have a game tomorrow. I'm going to feel this way before the game. That is okay. I just feel it, just feel it. Don't try and tell it to stop, or don't try and get past it, or do anything to try and not think about it. Just feel the anxiety and play your game.
It's important. It's something that's important to you, and I think that's why the pressure builds up. Some people's pressures externally, like you said. I'm exactly the same. I think we're all pretty much the same. Is our pressures from in here, and I think that's quite a common finding. I speak to a lot of people. My partner, for example, and she has a lot of pressure, and sometimes she'll come to me with issues, and I'll be like, yeah, but who's actually causing the stress right now? It's you, and only you know how to fix it. I could tell you loads of things in which will make you feel better, But at the end of the day, this is something that you might have to handle on your own, and you're not alone doing it.
Yeah.
Like, we have football coaches, obviously people that we work with, and we do have that support there. But I think at the end of the day, you do need to address it yourself and be honest. Are you nervous because you're not trying hard enough, because you're realising that you're a bit further behind than you actually need to be, or is it just that important in your life where you think this needs to go right?
Yeah.
This is something I want to do as a career path. This is something I want to do to better myself, whatever it may be. University, sports, just trying to be healthier in everyday life, with work. What is causing the pressure, and being completely honest with yourself. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. I think
denial is if you have denial in your situation and you don't quite know how to ask those questions, you won't come up with the answers yourself. Everything you experience is going on within you, so you have to figure that out for yourself. And that's a lot of like what counselling is and psychotherapy. It's like they'll ask you questions so that you ask yourself, what's going on with me and how to bring that out of yourself. And then once you're aware of it, like you said, you was aware that you would feel a certain way through that experience. Now you can go, well, I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I agree. Yeah.
so. Obviously, we've spoken about your upbringing in football and everything like that. So at the moment, you're at hashtag.
Yep.
How's that going? How you finding it at the moment?
It's been a change of environment and a change of life, the way I see life, I'd say. So obviously coming out of a full-time program to a part-time program, there's changes. There's, no one's telling you this is when you do this, blah, 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 blah. It's all kind of a lot more down to your own responsibility and your own, it's up to you to do most things now, which has been, I'd say it was hard at first, but I feel like it's been for the best. Like, to be honest, a lot of people always ask me about like how it is to not be in the academy anymore, and is it like, am I depressed or I feel like, to be honest, it's been one of the best experiences I've had, and probably the best thing that could have happened to me, to be honest with you. Because for me, it's been like coming out of a bubble and seeing what the world is actually like, if you get what I mean.
The standard of academy football to men's football that you're playing at the moment, or high level football that you're playing at the moment, it's worlds apart. Like playing with full grown men who's been in certain leagues their whole life, who's probably been there since the age of 16. It's quite a common thing to find that you every team will have one, a veteran who's been there for about 10 years, since 18. They're 28 now. They played in the team every single season. Obviously, it's a bit different for hashtag. They got their trials. They got the money behind them to bring certain players in. So it's a little bit different in that respect. But it's a whole different ball game. It is genuinely going from boys football to men's football. It's going from technical greatness to just out and out, an all round of technical greatness, physical attributes that you're not even ready for. The abuse, don't get me started on the abuse. The difference between a changing room of an under 18s of academy or whatever to a men's changing room, a men's WhatsApp group. My God, the difference in that is ridiculous. Like, if you don't know, you don't want to know. Just leave it at that. But so that must have been an experience for you. How is it going at the moment?
That's an interesting question, because I'd tell you it's going good. But I might not be, at the moment I'm not in the team, and I'm not, I've had times in the team, but I haven't really found my feet yet in the team. But I'd still tell you it's going good, because I'm learning so much. Learning so much about myself. I feel like my game has come along so much since when I started, because like you said, all them aspects, like the physical, the playing with veterans, playing with men, I feel like it's shown me a lot of things that I never had the opportunity to see in the academy. And like physically, even though like you might not get any physically bigger, but you still get stronger, and you still get
it's different.
When you're having them battles, like your tolerance to tackles or to whatever just goes up so much.
It's almost like they try and hurt you when you go into men's football. You still come up against a 180 pound 5'10" fella, but the difference between the 18-year-old and the 27-year-old who's hitting you is the 27-year-old's trying to hurt you. The 18-year-old's trying to win the ball and impress people. There's a difference, and little micro things like that, like you find that might, like you said, teach you a lot of things. And you'll look back on this in God knows how many years, whether you've made it pro, signed a contract, whether you're at hashtag and you're still trying to get that pro contract, or if hashtag are still rising like they have been ever since they've started, whatever it may be, you're going to look back on this time and go, it was just, I'm so happy I done it. I'm so happy I was out of the academy, I've done my own thing, I'm going back into it in a different perspective.
Yeah, I think it's made me a lot smarter in the way I'd say when I was in the academy, like, I was quite, I spoke a lot, I'd say stuff probably out of turn a lot, I was a bit childish. I feel like it's matured me a lot being in this environment, especially being with people like who their worries are about their job or their kids, or coming from people whose worries were Fortnite or PlayStation. Like, you kind of gain a perspective as to what matters, and as to how to carry yourself around people, or how to act in relationships. Or for example, when there's, like you said, there's veterans in the team.
Yeah,
I'm not someone who's shy, so I'm still quite confident in myself to have banter with them and talk to them.
Yeah.
However, but I know when to, someone older than me is telling me something to do.
Yeah, you know when to listen. You know when the constructive criticism is being told, and you know when to bite back. Kind of thing.
So I feel like it's given me that that social aspect, that maturity, that understanding of just a wider range of people. And like, I'm not gonna say I feel like I'm above my years or anything, but I just feel more mature.
Yeah. This experience has helped you to mature, and it makes so much sense what you said about being in that bubble and now almost being thrown out into a very real environment, with very real people going through whatever they're going through. That's really interesting.
In regards to, you've learnt a lot. Who is it that you've learnt from? Because I've got an idea of who you're learning from, what I think. But who have you looked to and gone, that is a way I want to conduct myself? That is a player. It could be different people. Yeah. Like people who conduct themselves in a certain way in the change room, outside in the real world when they're wearing the shirt and everything, to the person who's on the ball in the team week in, week out. Who is it that you look towards and go, that is it? It necessarily don't have to be hashtag, by the way. It can be anyone, but
I'd say
the people from hashtag are watching though, so that you can say them.
I'm very observant, and even though I talk a lot, I also listen a lot. I watch people and.
Come on, name drop.
I don't worry. I wouldn't say there's one in particular, but I'd say, for example, Pagey. I look to Pagey and look at his the way he carries himself, his personality, his demeanor, and think, like, there's parts to him that I'd like to add to myself, if you get what I'm saying.
He's so good at exactly what you said about conducting himself, talking when he needs to talk, staying quiet when he needs to. He's very good at that. I found the exact same thing.
But I look at someone like Kiers and think about how, like, I just watch him on the pitch and he's so, it's like he's playing a video game. Like,
he's a magician. He is.
Like I can watch him not move for 30 seconds and still get the ball and score. And he's like older than everyone else on the pitch. And I'm thinking, how? I'll just be watching him, and I just take little things. I'll ask him so many questions. Like, when you're doing this, what's going through your mind, or blah blah.
He used to be a winger as well. I never knew that. So he plays it's CDM, isn't it? He plays at the moment centre mid, CDM kind of area. But he used to be a winger. He was playing at Millwall as a winger. So obviously Millwall, a pro team. He's gone down to hashtag and he just went, nah, I want to be a CDM. Don't really want to do the wing anymore. Don't like running. And so he's literally the maestro of the team. Plays. He's class. That's who I thought you was going to say about player wise, is Kiers, because he's something else. Like, absolutely. Like, sometimes I would in the warm up of the match day, he knew what I was doing before I even knew what I was doing. And I'm a goalie. I know my position better than he does, and he still knew what I was going to do. He would say it to me as he runs and pick the ball out of the back of the net. He was like, "You showed me too much this way, or I showed you this, and then I knew you was going to do this. I rolled it into that corner because of this." I'm like,
I don't even. With so many goalkeepers, he understands how he needs to play with them. Like,
he's in, because he was the manager of the under-23s. The way his brain worked in regards to countering someone's play, countering the formation to it.
Football IQ.
Yeah,
basically,
it was sky high.
Yeah.
It rocketed sky high. He was so smart with it. But yeah, I thought that's who you was gonna say, and I'm pretty sure if he ever does watch, I know he's busy, so I'm pretty sure he'll be happy to hear that though.
Yeah.
But we were talking before the podcast started. So at the moment, are you allowed to say where you've gone off to? I'm not too sure.
I've gone on loan to Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Which is different experience. I'll be honest, to me, I would say there's no difference because my intentions behind playing is the same.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I feel like when people tend to go put out on loan, they see it as like, I'm not favoured or this.
Yeah.
But for me, to be honest, it sounds crazy, but I'm not really too bothered who I'm playing for. Whether I'm playing for the Rezzies, hashtag, or now being at Frankfurt, it's like I still have the same objective on the pitch, which is, I'll be honest, first and foremost, I just want to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Which it sounds cliche, but I genuinely just want to have fun. Like when I'm not enjoying myself, I don't really want to be there. So I just care about. I've never really been someone who will conform to play in a way that I don't want to play.
Yeah.
So I will still get the ball off the keeper if I want to get the ball off the keeper.
Yeah.
I'm not too bothered about people if they want to shout at me or say don't do that. I'm quite good at blocking out outside noise, and I'm quite self-driven. So I'll still go there and do the stuff I want to do, and I'm just focusing on getting game time, trying to avoid injuries, and just build myself up. I don't think it really matters too much what level, as long as I feel like I'm improving.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And I mean, obviously you've only been there a week, so there's not even that much to report on as of yet. I'm pretty sure, but you just touched on the point of trying to avoid injuries and everything like that. And this goes on to the next thing I was going to bring up, is the business that you've got started at the moment. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I need your help with this, by the way. Put my back out today, man.
He texted me today as I'm leaving work. He went, I might need his help on something, actually.
I was like, can we do a practical on the podcast? Oh, yeah, man. I'll help my lat or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm starting a business to do with sports recovery. You probably wonder why. I say from the age of about, let's say 15, I remember I got my first proper injury, which was, well, before that I had like, your growing injuries like Osgood's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
we all had that. I think you had that as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
So we've all had a bit
which
of
was
that.
just like growing injuries everyone gets. But I had I had a patellofemoral injury on my knee, which was it was a tough one. I'll be honest, it was very tough for me because I just come into a full-time environment, and I moved out of my house for my football, so all I was doing was football.
Yeah.
And the fact that I couldn't play was like,
what do you do?
Like it was mind crushing. And the thing with my injury was, at the time, it was kind of a touch and go type injury. So I didn't know that wasn't like you're gonna be out for 9 months or you're gonna be out for 6. It was more like you could be back next month, but you could also not be back.
How
for 9
quickly
months.
can you recover? The anticipation of that again.
So it was just a lot of building up to coming back. It's not quite right yet. Building up to coming back. It's not quite right yet.
Yeah.
That was so draining mentally.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in an environment where, at the time, I went to a school where everyone in the team was in the same class.
Oh, okay.
So everyone around me will come back from break or from training and be like, this is what happened in training, blah blah. And I've just been in the gym for an hour or an hour and
gritting
a
your
half.
teeth, thinking, why can't I go?
Obviously, it's not really a thing of I'm upset that they're enjoying themselves. It's more like,
oh no, so it's FOMO. Fear of missing out. It's all it is, and it is a genuine thing in football.
And all sports, I think. Like anything, well, social life as well, but like sports, is like when you've got an injury, there's nothing worse than being stuck on the sidelines watching your friends play, and you're like, oh my god, like can just sort itself out.
But you're so right in what you're saying though, is that it's not just sports, it's everything. You got to know when to sit out, and know when to miss stuff out. You got to, whether it's the gym, sitting a session out because you've got your lat, missing that out. Whether you're like, I don't know, you've got an important meeting the next day, and I've done it myself where in work I've not gone out at night time because I'm like, I've got a meeting tomorrow morning at 11. I need to be fresh. If I go out tonight, I won't be fresh till about 1. So you need to make sure you're going to be ready for it. So I mean, obviously, it relates back to a lot of different things. But,
So then with the I was out for 11 months in the end, and what you notice when you have time off the pitch is you get more time to yourself and to your mind. And during that time, I kind of, there was obviously a psychologist there who I would speak to a lot, and I'd kind of, she taught me to kind of see this as an opportunity to do other things, or even like just the rehab stuff. I'm someone who was always asking questions about, okay, why am I doing this? How is this going to help me get better, etc., etc. And in doing that, I learned so much about rehab. I learned so much about fitness, regaining fitness after an injury, or like focusing on specific muscles. I did a lot of upper body gym, so I learned a lot about that stuff. And as I went on, I came back from my injury, of course, but at the end of my injury, my knowledge of how to prepare my body for training, or prepare my body for a game and recover and stuff like that, was so much more than when it started. So even though I continued to pick up injuries after that for quite a few years, but I feel like that was more due to growth related. Like I was at the start when I was 15, I was like 5'4", and I came out at 18 at 6'2".
Yeah, I know.
So,
you tower over me and I'm the keeper. That was
so there was a lot of little niggles and injuries, but through all of that, obviously it's an academy, so I get to work with some top physio, some top sports science and strength and conditioning coaches. And I asked so many questions. I learned so much. I had so many different rehab plans and different access to understanding of why I'm doing this or that. That I learned so much about my body and about. And I'd even be asking other people about their plans. Like, oh, how come you rolled your ankle, so you're wearing a boot for this long? Why is he wearing the boot? Or do you get what I'm saying? So, and I remember when I came out of the academy, I was thinking like, I know so much, like I have so much knowledge. There must be a way that I can almost like that. I don't want to just like one thing I love is learning. Yeah. But the reason for learning is firstly for myself to try and get better. Yeah. But secondly, I love to like give it to someone else and like
100%.
And
it's a great feeling to educate.
Like if you ask my friend, they'll probably say I'm a bit annoying with it because I'll learn something new and try and force them to.
But this is quite a funny thing. I watched a video the other day, and it was basically saying like, well, you got so little time, you ain't got the time to make the same mistakes. Learn from other people's. But if you're teaching other people, you're bringing them up with you, but they're on the same journey as you, so they teach you things. And in turn of you teaching them something, it's actually helping you out in the long run as well. Because if you have, for example, let's say in your life you're going to make 300 mistakes, 400 mistakes in a certain scenario, but you've got people that are on the same journey as you teach them what you know, that then reduces the mistakes they're going to make. So they go ahead of you, they then tell you something that they've learned, then you catch back up, and eventually you will all be on the same level. Whereas if you're just making the same mistakes, you're not going to be down here. It's going to slow your progression down. So it's a great way to be honest.
It's interesting you say that. Like, it's a bit of a side note, but with the way, I'd say at first it was by chance, but I'd say now it's by design that the people I surround myself with tend to be very different to me, because I really enjoy learning things that I don't know.
Yeah,
so
powerful, man.
I surround myself with people that think differently to me, or we probably have the same fundamentals in terms of wanting to improve, wanting to grow, blah blah. But the way that they do stuff will be different to me. The way that they, for example, most of my close friends are not in football. Yeah, like they whether they do business or school or they're entrepreneurs or whatever. I like the fact that they're doing something completely different to me, because I pick up certain things that I would never get just being around like people that are just like me, or footballers or whatever. I enjoyed the debate of having I've had hundreds, maybe thousands actually, of arguments with other people about topics where we will have different opinions. And I don't really see that as like as a bad thing. I don't see it as a negative. I see it as, okay, this is my view, this is your view. I'm going to argue my view, you're going to argue your view.
It's challenging each other.
And we're both going to walk out with we're both gonna want to be right, of course, but
Yeah.
we're both gonna walk out with new information.
Yeah,
You can have a
walk
broader
out with-
mind.
Yeah, different
Come out of
perspective
that
of everything.
and learn so much from someone.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed.
Are you good at taking on other people's opinions though? Because that is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do is learn when to go, you know what, I see where you're coming from, and putting your ego aside and going, I didn't see it that way before. I still don't necessarily agree,
Yeah.
but I didn't think about it like that. I have brothers, one of my brothers, and he'll know exactly which one I'm talking about, who's got such let's call it like exactly what it is. He's so sensitive about certain topics, and he's so tight-fisted when it comes to keeping his views and opinions surrounded in his own mind of, I am right, you can't upset people. Like, if a joke's been said and he's like, that was offensive to this people, you're like, but maybe look at it this way. But I've learned quite a lot from him, just in the fact that this is actually how some people think, and you actually have to address this sometimes, and have to have that challenge of people coming back to you. It took me a long time to go, you know what, it's difficult, but I actually see where you're coming from with that. Yeah, you're right. However, maybe look at it like this. But that's another topic of saying stuff in the right way to people to let them think that they've come up with the idea. That's another bloody topic in general.
It's like a process. Like when you are really, really strong about something and no one can tell you anything about that thing, it means you probably don't know that much about it, or maybe you do, but you're so stuck in your ways, you're so rigid that you're limited.
Yeah.
And then when you're able to come out of that and actually take on other people's ideas and perceptions about what you're speaking about, then, and I have a hard time doing this myself, but when it happens, when the penny drops, I'm like, oh, that's what they was trying to say. And then I just feel so much better for it every time when I'm having a debate with someone. I might be like, really, really stuck in my ways, and then I come out of it, or maybe like it could happen weeks later and I'll think about it and I'll be like, actually, you know what, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I was younger, even though I'm still young now, a lot of the time when I was having these debates and these arguments, I was quite prideful in the fact that I genuinely always believed I was right.
Yeah.
But silently, like, I'd know that if someone was telling me something and I might not have a counter argument to it, I wouldn't admit it, I wouldn't say it in the time, but next time we come to the argument, my argument would have slightly changed.
Yeah.
And then, like, or I'll just avoid the argument. And it would annoy my friends a lot, because they would be like, the reason I'd say I'm not arguing is because I can't be bothered or blah blah. But really and truly, I know they're right, but I'd never admit to it.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like as I've got older, especially in recent months, one thing I've really realized is that, like, not that I'm not right, but we both can be right, and there's so many different perspectives, and there's so many people think so many different things, and like that's a good thing, because if we all thought the same way, there'd be a problem. And I think, especially for example, I've been reading this book lately, and it has this point about this thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is, in essence, like, it says about the more you know, the more you realize you don't know that much. And I feel like I've heard that as well, and that is a huge thing. Like, the more you go into something, the more you realize, wow, this is actually really big. This is way bigger than what I thought it was. Like, exactly. And as I've started to read more, and I've started to educate myself so much more and listen to other people a lot more, than I've kind of accepted the fact that as much as I know, there is so much to learn, and that, I feel like that's quite to me, is a good feeling, because like, that means I can keep learning, and
you're only going to get better.
You always have another step in front of you.
Exactly, and that means there's so much potential as to what I can know, and I find like, it's I know it sounds a bit nerdy, it sounds weird, but I just find learning so interesting.
No, I love that. Trust me, when it comes to being a nerd, when you start talking about, like, once you look into something and realise, like, this is actually a big thing, you think of even bigger things and stuff, and I was going, space is like that. That was genuinely my thought, and I was like, you look up in the sky and see the stars and everything, you go, bloody hell, there's a lot of them. And then when you go into actually look into what's actually up there, you go, whoa, all that stuff that we're seeing up there, some of the little stars you see in the sky, are not only just stars that have died out or have exploded or whatever they may be. Some of them are galaxies, and even further on than that, some of them are like other sections of the universe, which are like they're called galaxy clusters, and your local group, and eventually you spiral off into something. You think, I don't actually know where I just was.
I actually had a thought today, actually, which is going to be like, whoa, what the hell is this guy talking about? Maybe you'll get it. I don't know. I felt a bit weird when I thought about it.
Go on.
But so I was watching Big Bang Theory the other night, and they was talking about black holes and how it sucks all mass and matter into it. Like even light gets into this hole, you never see it again, and it's just constantly expanding, taking everything in its path. And then they brought up about the Higgs boson particle, which is like the subatomic particle in which everything that is nothing turns into something. It's like nothing into matter.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of a black hole. And you know, oftentimes people debate about God, whether God is real. Yeah. And for me, God is very real. And I've always felt I had a connection with God. And just understanding those two principles of in space, there is something called a black hole, which sucks everything into it and nothing ever comes out again. Yeah. And then subatomically, there is, you know, potentially, I don't know if it's been actually proven or not, but theoretical physicists believe that the Higgs boson exists, where nothing gets turned into something. Yeah. And it just kind of all clicked for me, and I was just like, well, there has to be, like, there's so much more than us. Like, you kind of get lost and you're like, wow. Like, even when I was walking home the other night and I was thinking, oh, it's so cold, I can't wait for summer. And then I was thinking, well, if it's summer here and say it's winter on the other side of the world, or like, you know, the southern hemisphere,
the tilt of the planet,
I was kind of like, so how does that look like in space? Like where are we and where is the sun? How does it actually look? How can you even comprehend that? It's just the thoughts you have.
You know what is quite a really mindfuck thought is, if we didn't have eyes, we wouldn't see anything. Yeah. And because we have eyes, we have another sense. We can see what we feel. Yeah. We can see what's happening.
Daredevil comes out now.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where you've got the third dimensions and everything we can see, touch, and interact with. There might be something that we're missing on our body that don't let us interact with the full fifth and higher dimensions. Yeah. Like, you can go into proper deep stuff with it, and like, and what you said about Higgs boson, the Higgs field, everything like that. Yeah. All proven, but you wouldn't have had it if we couldn't test for it. Like, it goes even deeper and everything. It's really, really interesting, but I completely forgot what we was talking about.
Recovery.
I find it really interesting how like you guys think, because I'm very similar in a way where this morning I could be thinking about philosophy. This even on the way here, I was watching a video about how humans evolve. Like,
I love that. Man.
I just like every single topic. Like,
if you like that, there's a cool study. I was reading about this at the gym. So I have the whole stigma around the gym is don't go on your phone. Don't go on your phone while you're waiting, resting for your set. And I'm like, make it apparent, like I'm just resting in between. So I set a timer in my watch. I'll set the timer on the app that we have, so I can see the timer counting down. But I'll read stuff whilst I'm sitting down, because I'll be like, I'm not on Instagram, so people won't think I'm being a dickhead. Yeah. So I'll read studies. I absolutely love astronomy. Absolutely love it. And the thought of the formation of planets and how single cell organisms basically, there's things called something bears. It sounds really silly, but they're tiny microorganisms that you'll find in space. They can survive in space and everything like that. And the formation of a planet of single cell organisms basically just floating around, waiting for something to form and then fall down onto the planet. Yeah. Loads of different theories about how it all started, and it is a proper like head twist about what it all started from. Like, we don't even know what happened like 300,000 years before the Big Bang. That's all we see, the cosmic microwave background. You know the static you get on your TV? Yeah. 99.9% will reoccurring and everything. 99.9% of that is static left over from the Big Bang.
What? So I remember hearing that.
It's crazy to think about. That static, that black and white image that you're seeing, is remnants from the Big Bang, and it will always be here. It will always be around, because it's radiation in space. The core of the Earth. Well, it's radiation from space that's coming down and bombarding. So stuff that you get from the sun bombards the Earth constantly with rays. But the main rays that you see on TVs and the static you hear when you're trying to tune a radio, that's the same static that's from the Big Bang. So everything that you're hearing, seeing on TVs and radios, you're seeing that from the Big Bang, which is absolutely a mind fuck, complete mind fuck. But stuff before 300,000 years of the universe, when we don't even know what's gone on, and we'll probably never know.
Is
And
it
that's
only that? Is it only 300,000?
300,000 years.
I feel like it was. I don't know. Like, I feel like the planet is older than that, but maybe I'm just.
Basically, if you're looking out into the far regions of space, where you will start seeing early formations of galaxies and stuff, we can only see out so far, and we've got about up to 3. So we see.
Okay.
To make it a little bit more.
So in light years, 300,000 light years away, we can see into.
We can see the whole observable universe is 93 billion light years across.
Right.
So if you was to 9.3 billion light years across, but the universe is 13.4 billion years old, and we can only see 13.3 billion years to a decimal point, but we don't know what's happened 300,000 years before that, if that makes sense. It's so confusing.
I've got a headache, man. I'm confused.
I could go on for flipping ages about it.
But actually, funny enough, so that thought happened with the Higgs boson thing, right?
Yeah.
The 2 things happened to me today that I want you to help me with, right? Don't know if you'll be able to tell me or not. But actually, and there's a guy I would like to introduce you to at some point. He's my sports therapist, so I feel like you two could collab, and that would be really cool. But basically, so I was at gym and I was doing like some bent over rows, and then I went into kind of bent over tricep kickbacks, and I just felt my lat tighten up. I was like, oh, that's weird, cramped. And then I went to do it again. All of a sudden, I got like a sharp pain. I was like, oh my god, like what is going on? And then it got to the point where I couldn't breathe. I was like, and it was just real tight underneath there, and it's still kind of affecting me now. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm gonna go see my sports therapist about it. And then I was like, oh, why? Like I wasn't even going heavy, like for my standards. Like I wasn't pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. It just something went, and I couldn't quite figure out why or what was going on. And I got home, and I stubbed my toe on the corner of my bed, and my toe split open, just straight up. Like the nail is halfway off. And I was like, this is how vulnerable I am. and it kind of like, because I've been thinking about God like quite a bit over the last couple of days, and it was just, for me, it was like God telling me, so inside of you, you can't see, right? You can't see what's going on with your lat. You can feel this pain, and you're like, oh, I wasn't going heavy. You stubbed your toe. It wasn't like you bashed the crap out of it. You didn't really try and hit it hard. You just caught it the wrong way, and it lifted it up. And it's a bit disgusting to talk about, but that's what happened. And it made me realize, I had like a mini epiphany. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, those things can just happen. Like, it doesn't have to be really, really forceful. It doesn't have to be something dramatic. It's just that happens, and that's part of life. And you have a body, and it's going to break sometimes. You're going to damage it, and you might not even mean to, or you might not be going as hard as you think you could do, but things will still go wrong, and that's okay, and you have to live with that. And it was like this little moment where I was like, oh, okay, because I could see that, and I couldn't see that. And because that happened, it made me come to terms with that.
I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I think
that's cool.
It's funny you say that. In recent days, I've been on that topic a lot of why things happen, and I'm not gonna say this is my conclusion, but this is my current theory as to the way I think about it. And I think I've kind of come to realize that a lot of the time things just happen. Like it's not always.
Do you not find hidden messages and stuff?
I think I used to always think about, like, for example, when I got injured, I used to have a theory that means I must have done something wrong.
Like moral.
So, this is. I used to be like really big on karma. Like, I
think everyone has a phase of that, or everyone had experienced that to some degree. Like, I remember thinking about certain things. I was like, why is this happening to me? And you start to come to the moral conclusion. But
then I think I've kind of come to a point where it's like sometimes
out of your control.
Like it's just like something happening doesn't necessarily have to mean this is gonna happen next door. Just because I've done a lot of work today doesn't mean tomorrow is gonna be a great day, or just because today has been a bad day, or like I've tried to
as direct as that.
I've tried to come in with a more balanced view of things in terms of for example, I might be driving here today and I might crash my car, but it doesn't mean the world's ending, I'm a bad person, I just crashed my car.
Yeah,
The car's gonna get fixed one day, or I'm gonna get a new car. I'm alive, so
yeah, that's all that matters.
it's not. I used to take everything as. I'd say it was quite. I'd say I put it down to ego and the fact that I'm kind of thinking that everything revolves around me and
why is it me?
yeah,
What's
always
happened?
me.
Yeah,
This or and I feel like I'm trying to be a lot more. Someone else could crash their car probably a few miles down the road.
And they're thinking exactly that.
Exactly. So it's just. It's not everything is personal. Everything is the world's ending. But what you said about finding hidden messages and things, I used to think that way, but I feel as though like you can find a meaning in whatever you want to find a meaning in.
I was just about to touch on that because I was going to say I know how hard you work.
Yeah.
He works like a dog, like constantly. You said that straight away, and I'm thinking someone up there, whether it's a God, whoever's looking out for you is telling you, fucking relax, chill. Yeah. But that's my standpoint on it. I'd make connections with stuff.
I think it comes down to ego with me. Like I left to go to the gym, saying to my girlfriend, "Oh, I'm gonna get massive." I was like, "This is my year where I'm gonna get really, really big." Like I've always kind of been quite lean, and that's been my thing. But this year, I'm lifting some good weight. I'm eating well. You know, in the next 6 months, you're going to see a massive difference. And then, boom, just like that. And it was kind of like, it was humbling in a way because it's like, not everything's going to go your way. You don't know what I have planned for you. It was like God saying to me, look, you're on a path, right? And every single person you work with, it's not about aesthetics. Like, that is one part. That's like, 1/4. But what I really do and what I realise I do after thinking about this is I humanise fitness for people.
Yeah.
I help people to get back into their bodies and like for me in my mind before going to the gym I was like I want to get massive. I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And people don't come to me for that.
Yeah.
People come to me to get healthier, get fitter, feel better about themselves. It's not about looking a certain way. And if I start derailing from what I'm good at, which is humanizing fitness and getting down to people on a human level and start going just into the aesthetics of things, then I lose myself.
Yeah.
And it's weird how I connect all these dots, but that's the way I see what happened to me.
Yeah.
It was like, this is a calling that is telling you, look, regardless of whether you're massive or not, you're doing a good thing, and what you're doing is okay by itself, and that's what you're here to do.
Which is, I thought, I really understand the way you spoke about that because I've been focusing a lot on, like I said, I always ask myself why, and I've been focusing a lot on asking myself, if I'm gonna do this, what is the main principle behind it? So, for example, now let's look at football. Originally I started playing football, like I said, because the freedom with my friends, blah blah.
Yeah.
Then there was a period where I started to almost turn it into this kind of mission where I have to achieve my destiny and blah blah. And when I started thinking about things that way, the way I treated football was different, and it almost made me it didn't make me worse, but it made me stop improving in the way I wanted to improve, because my reasons for trying to improve is now very different. It's now very end all be all, and I feel like I've come to with football. I kind of see it more in a way of like, as long as if I'm enjoying myself for one, I'm probably playing well.
Yeah.
If I'm focusing on improving, me getting injured doesn't mean I'm not gonna have a career. It just means I'm injured right now. I can just improve in a different area right now.
Oh, 100%.
So
it's an opportunity.
It's not. I try and think a lot more of a perspective now in terms of I want to enjoy and I want to improve. So me playing for hashtag instead of playing for Westham isn't my career ending. It's a stage in my improvement.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
It's just a phase in my improvement, and improvement isn't something that there's an end. I could be playing for Manchester United tomorrow, and I'm still trying to improve. So, like, I kind of take away the externals of the stuff that I can't control. I can't control if I'm gonna have a game tomorrow and someone's gonna come through my leg and break it.
Yeah.
I can't control if a scout's gonna watch me and decide that he's the best player I've ever seen. I can't control that.
No.
I can only control improvement and enjoyment. And
Yeah.
as long as I focus on that, everything else should. And I might not end up ever playing for Man United. I might be at hashtag for the next 10 years, but my targets aren't going to change.
No, you want to be the best that you can possibly be.
So that means I can, like, it's never going to feel I will never feel like I'm failing as long as I'm striving to the things I'm striving to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
There's a I want to get this tattooed on my forehead. I love the saying it. Tom Hanks, I heard it. It was like an A-list celebrity gathering, and it was just a simple saying of "this too shall pass." You're feeling good. It's gonna fade away. You're feeling bad. It's gonna fade away. If you've made £1 million, it's gonna pass you making that. You know what I mean? And there's gonna be days where you make nothing. There's gonna be days where you make no progress. But there's gonna be days where you make all the progress you could wish for. So there's peaks and troughs, there's ups and downs, and you just got to be prepared for it. And you got to, like you said, worry about the internal, forget about the external. The external is out of your control.
It's funny how certain things hit you as well. Like Tom Hanks saying that hit you in a certain way at that moment that made you realise something. Like for me, I had a similar thing. I remember being quite young and I was watching TV and Live at the Apollo was on. Remember that comedy? And there was a woman comedian and she mentioned in one of her jokes that emotions are transient. And I was just like, at that moment, something about that, I'd never heard that word before. There's something about the way she said it and the way she delivered it. Even though it was a joke, it was like, everything I've ever felt is gone. It just hit me all of a sudden. I was like, so the next time I'm experiencing pain or anything negative, I'm like, sometimes I kind of count it down how long it's actually going to last.
What does that word mean?
It means that everything will pass, basically. Like transient means that the way something is now, it can't ever stay that way. It has to mold into something else.
I like that. I think I've kind of learned a lot about That's right. I've kind of learned a lot about, like, I've been trying to find a balance, because I'm someone that's very emotional. I'm someone that is, I'm either really happy or I'm very anxious, or like I feel emotions very strongly. And I used to kind of see that as I need to get this under control. But like you said about emotions being transient, I kind of have learned that I'm gonna feel sad one day. I'm gonna feel happy one day. I'm gonna feel angry, and it's just gonna keep, like, I'm never gonna be able to control that spiral. I might be able to guide myself to being around things that make me happier or avoiding things that make me sad, but those emotions are just part of experience, and it needs to be that way almost. Like you can't really find a balance in feeling the emotions. All you can find a balance in is how you act when those emotions come around, and how you just deal with them situations.
Unless you embrace the emotions, you're never going to be able to handle the emotions. Exactly. Unless you have a proper breakdown one day, unless you have that day where you just cried and you look, your nose running, can't breathe properly, and until you've had that feeling, you don't know how to control that feeling. Until you've had an amazing day and you're giddy. Like, I tell you what, this is a perfect example, because I actually done this on the weekend. I just played my first round of golf on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, loved it. Brilliant. Oh my God, I'm already morphing into a 55-year-old fella with a flat cap on.
I can see it now, mate.
Mate. I was decent, but I hit one of the best shots of the day. I was playing with a 35-year-old vet, my stepdad, playing with someone who's been playing for about a year, and pitching wedge about 65, 70 yards to the hole, about 50 to the approach and the green, and done all the right techniques. Everyone's been teaching me the whole morning as I'm going through. It's like the 8th hole at this point, and I've just struck this so sweetly, and it's bounced, no word of a lie, about 5 yards away from the hole. Everyone celebrating, and I literally just got a coffee, and it was smacking down with rain. I needed this coffee, and just had a celebration, because I'm a dickhead and I like it, making people laugh. I chucked my coffee about 20 fucking yards in the air, just celebrating, and it went everywhere. It went all over me. I fucking burnt myself.
You love chucking a coffee. Yeah. That first ever podcast, you spilled coffee everywhere.
On the walls and everything. That's coming out of the deposit. But but I didn't know how to handle that emotion, because I've never played it before. Don't get me wrong, I've done well in football and obviously having a break now and everything like that. So I don't get that gratification through sports at the moment, and maybe it's I've not handled that emotion for quite a while and I've not had it. But then I act like a kid. I threw my coffee in the air and celebrated. Everyone had a laugh and went, "What are you doing, you idiot? Why are you throwing it? You literally just bought it." And shits and
Classic
giggles.
World Cup style.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like an absolute idiot chucking a black coffee in the air, not thinking it's gonna fucking burn me as it comes down. But now, next time I hit that shot, I'm gonna go, "Yeah, I've done it before." No, like. Not that. Oh, I'm sick. I've hit that same shot before, but I'm gonna go. I know how to handle this now.
Yeah.
Everyone like, yep, nice one, thanks.
I think that's a lot of what embarrassing moments are. Like, not that it was that embarrassing that you did.
It was kind of
but
embarrassing.
well, a lot of it is like when you have an embarrassing moment, it's just because you don't know how to process what just happened. I think.
Yeah.
So you end up making a bit of a fool of yourself. But then when you actually, you experience it a couple of times, then you behave normally. You know what I mean? But it's just that big outburst that happens that you just like, you don't know how to process it initially.
I understand that like feeling of not wanting to be embarrassed, and like for example, something one of my targets for the year I'd say is to just embrace being uncomfortable. Like being in situations where I'm not used to being in, or for example when I'm on loan to Brentford, I went for my first game. That's a situation I've never been in. So in my head beforehand, all I'm trying to focus on is just go and experience it. Like, it could go great, it could go bad, but just go and experience it. 'Cause now next time you come, oh, you've done this. Or for example, like negative emotions, or for example, this podcast is gonna go on YouTube, whatever. This is new to me. So and not that I'm not nervous or anything, but it's different. Like, it's something new. So of course it's going to be an experience, so that if I ever come back on or I go on a different podcast or whatever, I've done this now, and it's like I'm really trying to, if anything, like find uncomfortable situations and put myself in it, so I can have that feeling. I can, whether it's going to embarrass me or I'm not really too. Obviously, we all care about what people think about us, but I'm not going to let it depend on what I do. Like I'm very open to being wrong or being embarrassed, or I will, for example, if you guys say something I don't agree with, I'll say, nah, I don't agree. Or like I'm alright with, because I could be wrong, but I'd rather learn than just sit here and just blend in, or just not say what I'm thinking, or like
that's
I'm really
the problem,
trying to
blending in. Too many people want to blend in. And I think if you, like you say, be yourself, and you stand by your principles of who you are and what you believe in, then you have such a better, more fulfilling life because of that. And like you say, like you learn from other people, because even when you disagree with people and they disagree with you, you get more from that than just being a yes person. Just agreeing with everything.
Agree. So obviously, with going back to it, which we went off on another tangent, with your the company that you're starting, so what is it that you're branding at the moment? So we've spoken about it before with what products you're putting forward and everything like that. What is it that you're offering?
So it's gonna be, at the moment I'm mainly focusing on, I have a foam roller, I have a muscle roller stick, and I have a massage gun. So it's mainly focused on muscle related products. The kind of thinking behind it is that some of these things I noticed when I come out the academy that not everyone had access to, and not everyone even knew that they kind of should be using or needed,
or how to use them.
Exactly. And I'm not really starting the business with the idea of I want to make this a major corporation and make millions or whatever. It's more of I want people to understand why they need it. I don't want anyone to buy it if they don't need it. Like I want it to be people that think, okay, this is why I need this. This is how it's gonna help me, and they use it. And like, it's more just of a thing of people who don't either have access, don't realize they need it. To now try and kind of focus on their own bodies, and even if it's someone who is in the academy or is a professional, whatever, them just taking that responsibility over their own career, their own body.
So
it's something that it's been important to me, and I feel like I know I'm not alone in that, and people will want to take care of themselves in that way as well. So
there's definitely a need for that. What is the name of your company?
Elite Pro Stock.
Elite Pro Stock. Awesome. That's so cool, man. And I feel like from what you said, it seems like you're gonna, because you see foam rollers everywhere, you see massage guns everywhere, but there's no like education system.
And
that's gonna be your thing.
Yeah, in terms, I'm more. There's hundreds of places you can go on Amazon and buy a foam roller, but my whole idea around it more is about the experience of the education, the understanding, the why.
That's exactly
why.
it's so true, because I've been in an academy, I've been scholar level, I've played semi-pro, I've done my PT badges. I'm pretty clued up in what, but I bought a massage gun the other day, and I had a look at what the different heads done. And I was like, what
I don't actually know.
You know what I mean?
I've got one as well. I don't know what they do.
Yeah, like I see a flat one, and I'm like, I think that one's going to be for like flat muscles, like so your leg. I see a pointed one, and I'm like, that one just looks inappropriate. I see a pronged one, and I'm like, that looks like it could fucking hurt. So
it can be dangerous.
Even for someone who's in the industry, and obviously for yourself as well, who's been in the industry for so long, I ain't got a clue about what different, like just the massage gun alone. I only found out foam rolling because I was in an academy, and they only teach you the bare basics. I didn't know how to do the foam roller on my groin for ages until I actually asked the question and went, my groin's in pain, stretching ain't enough, how do I do the foam roller? It's uncomfortable to foam roll your inner thigh out anyway. It looks it looks a bit sus as well, but
you're flexible to get in that position.
I can't do it now. No way could I do it now. But I think that's your niche, and I think that's so important, because when you was obviously we've spoken about the business as well, when we was training and everything, just learning about you really, just knowing what sort of makes you get out of bed in the morning and everything. And your idea was just to be informative. You said about videos and like personal like phone calls with people we started talking about as well. And I was like, that is just so simple, but yet so effective. A phone call I could call you up and go, mate, I've just bought this foam rolling, the massage gun. I've just bought one of them. I ain't got a clue what this does. What does it do? What does it mean? I wouldn't have a clue who else to call. If someone went, what am I doing this? I'll go, don't know. I don't even know who you could ask. But now, just having a talk with you just to find out.
And I enjoyed that aspect of even what you just said with the foam on your groin. In my mind, I'm just thinking, if you have a groin injury, I remember that if you're gonna foam roll your groin, you don't foam roll on the groin, you foam roll around the groin. Cause
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
Like just stuff like in my head, I'm like I just thinking to try and help. Do you get what I'm saying? Obviously I'm glad to help, but it's fulfilling for me as well to know that I can use my experience to help someone else. And
it's a great idea, a great service as well, because it's not even necessarily just relatable to football in any sports. It's such an important thing. I didn't realise how important stretching was and everything until I started doing yoga, and then you realise that like
how unflexible you are.
How unflexible you are. But when you start gaining that bit of flexibility back, everyday life becomes easier. The gym becomes easier. Football becomes easier. And I actually found that when I stopped doing yoga, and funny enough, when I first moved out and I had 1,000,001 things to do in a day, that football started taking a hit for it. The gym started taking a hit for it.
I really need to get back into yoga.
It's honestly probably the most underrated thing. Is rehab. Rehab is the most underrated tool you can use. And I think obviously with your service out there,
that's the thing, innit? It's providing a service. Like not everyone. Big companies seem to sell you products. It's like a big part of commercialism is like, once you dispatch it, it's gone, you sell it, that's it. But when you provide a service, it's so much more personal. And you work with people. And that's what I find, like, even the difference between my coaching and, say, buying a fitness app for £5 a month. It's like, that app is a product, but I provide a service where you actually get to speak to me. And, it's very, very personal. So that sounds like the way forward.
Yeah, I feel like when you're buying anything, or when you're giving your money something, you want to be getting the best value. And if you'd rather feel as though like the person that is selling it to you, or the company that is selling it to you, genuinely cares about how this impacts you, instead of just wanting your money. So like, I'm not too. Obviously, you want to make money. You want it to be profitable, but ultimately, like, I'm more it's more customer based or more caring about how it impacts the person that's
there's a soul behind it.
Yeah. Because it's something that's personal to me. It's not like I just woke up and thought, you know, I want to sell pencils. Like, it's like I've experienced this. If you're experiencing this is something we share. And it's something that I can try and help you with. Someone might even teach me something. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Which is
get new scenarios and everything like that, even if it's just how to handle a customer. I mean, that's something that's a whole different beast itself, is handling a customer. But if we was to, because I'm actually really interested in this now, I might even do it myself. How can we get that information from you? Is there a platform in which you're creating to get that? Is it already up? What's the plan?
So I'm currently in the process of creating. See all these ideas I've given you. I'm currently in the process of putting it onto our website and onto our Instagram and stuff like that to really have it like. I'm taking my time with it because I want it to be just how I want it. Like, I want it to be just right, and I want it to be very easy to take in and interactive. And I don't want it to be a thing where I'm talking about science and whatever. Like, I want it to be so that anyone can come off the
approachable and
just be able to understand what it's saying. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so I'm just trying to make sure it's right
in layman's terms to describe it, because the worst thing to do is give people jargon if they don't know what the industry's about.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's obviously something that you probably have to deal with as well. I mean, having to tell someone about a type of machine, like a Smith machine. If someone who hasn't ever been to the gym before, they'll go, "What is a Smith machine? Why is it named after a fella? What is all that about?"
Yeah, like I've got a similar sort of thing to what you're designing, where I have an app in which there's a massive database of exercises, and every exercise has a video, has instructions, and I also have that one-to-one thing where it's like, you know, if you don't know how to do this, even with the instructions and video, we'll get on a call, we'll talk about it, and you'll kind of describe to me, you know, what's going on, what you're feeling, and then I'll guide you through the process of how to do it properly.
Yeah.
And we'll do like a form analysis thing where they'll send me in videos, and I'll basically just watch the video whilst recording what I'm saying about their form, just to make sure that they see it in real time as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that is the future really of like fitness, because like I said earlier, it's about humanizing fitness.
Yeah.
And even the fitness tools and the rehab equipment you'll buy, there's so much of it around. You can buy it anywhere, but where is the service? Where is the, you know, and it's up to kind of small businesses, I believe, to fill that gap, because there is a massive gap.
Yeah.
Huge. The customer focused companies, they need to be made more prevalent. I think you've got a great idea, and that's why I was so interested about asking you about what was going on, and obviously discussing with you. Wanted you to get on to tell this exact same story of how to go about obviously getting the right information and everything. But we will link in the description of the video your account, so your actual Instagram account, the business's Instagram account, and how to get that information, how to get the products and everything like that, because obviously to know where it's coming from, it's not being sourced from China, it's not being mass produced and it'll break after 2 minutes. It's something that is being taken into care and consideration to be put forward. And also, if anyone has any problems with it, it is probably the easiest way to get in touch with you, is because you literally tell people how to use it. So that's perfect. But so we'll link that all in the description and everything. But it's been great. I've absolutely loved this. It's been my favourite one so far. And it's been really informative. I absolutely loved having you on. But
from space to foam rollers.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Yeah, sorry I went off on that tangent.
No, it's good, man. That's what it's all about.
Goes on particles and stuff.
It's brilliant. I love that. But got anything to add?
No, I think that's I think we've covered quite a lot, and it's been so nice to have you on, man. It's been so nice to meet you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Yeah, so we'll wrap it up.